statement of origin?
The real
UAP are real.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it.
Anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have.
And reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
What are you all talking about? Aliens don't exist. Today, we're gonna settle this matter for good. Well, we'll just try to. Everything in this video is sourced. I'll tell you what's verified, disputed, or when something is just a theory. Let's go. Hi everyone, Maggie here. Welcome back to Mythical Reality, where we take the myths of our favorite stories and find the reality behind them. Let's start with Area 51, the first whistleblowers. Area 51 is a highly classified US military installation in southern Nevada. For decades, the government denied it existed at all. Eventually, they admit it, but only as a testing site for advanced aircrafts. Well, that's the official version. In August 2014, a senior scientist at Lockheed Martin called Bushman posted a 33-minute video on YouTube, days before he died. He claims aliens live inside Area 51, roughly 150 centimeters tall, 5 long fingers, communicating by telepathy, and living over 200 years. Well, critics said that the photos he showed were fake, but Bushman had over 26 patents. That's not a nobody, that's a classified scientist. And why did he die right after posting that video? And most importantly, why a scientist with such a position and over 26 patents do that? I'll leave the link of his video in the description box. Let's go back some decades earlier. In 1989, someone called Bob Lazar appeared in Las Vegas television and claimed that he works in a facility called S4 near Area 51, where the US were reverse engineering 9 alien spacecrafts.
My name's Bob Lazar. I'm known for working at a classified base and reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
It went all over the world.
I have no motivation to lie.
Now, what adds credibility to his story is that he mentioned an element called 115, and he claimed that those ships or spacecraft use this element for anti-gravity propulsion. Intriguingly, element 115, Moscovium, was not discovered by modern science until 2004, decades later. And interestingly, this element was added to the periodic table, so it was a big deal. So how did this scientist know about it decades earlier? And claimed that it was used by extraterrestrial spaceships. Do you think he just made up the story? Now let's talk about the second most controversial place related to aliens, Antarctica. Conspiracy theorists and other sources that I'll mention claim that in Antarctica, behind the wall in the North Pole, there's a place called the Hollow Earth, where there's a very advanced civilization deep beneath our Earth. And that despite the freezing weather and the ice there, this place has a tropical climate with huge trees and plants similar to Amazon forest ones. And they claim that there are 2 types of aliens live there. When I say aliens here, we don't really mean from outer space. We're talking about from beneath the earth or from the hollow earth. The first type is called the Nordics, tall, human-like, usually blonde-haired with light-colored eye, often described as attractive and physically perfect, calm, peaceful, and highly intelligent. Frequently portrayed as spiritually advanced and benevolent and with high consciousness. The second type is called the Greys, short, slender bodies, large heads relative to their bodies, large black almond-shaped eyes, small mouths and noses, usually depicted as emotionless and highly intelligent, and often associated with UFO sightings and alleged abduction stories. Now the question is, who claimed this? These stories didn't come from sci-fi movies producers. Actually, many people did, including scientists. We're gonna highlight 2 today. Let's start with George Adamski, the godfather of ufology. By the way, ufology is the study, investigation, and discussion of UFOs, undefined flying objects, and UAPs, undefined anomalous phenomena. George Adamski is a Polish-American immigrant who lives in California. He became one of the first and most famous people to publicly claim a direct contact with aliens. What started as a hobby of scanning the night sky with a wooden homemade telescope turned into a life-changing pursuit. On October 9, 1946, while waiting to watch meteor shower with friends, Adamski and his friends witnessed a massive cigar-shaped spacecraft. No one believed Adamski's story, so frustrated that people called him crazy, he spent the rest of his life trying to prove his point. Adamski spent a whole year monitoring the sky until he successfully photographed a craft passing by the moon. On May 29, 1950, Adamski captured one of the most famous UFO photographs in history. 6 glowing interconnected space vessels flying in formation. Over 4 years, he took nearly 500 photos of alleged alien spacecraft and routinely submitted them to the US Air Forces to prove his theories. Now, everything so far with Adamski maybe makes some sense because sometimes we see weird stuff in the skies, but maybe that made him go crazy to prove his point. But what's coming next is really hard to believe. So, in November 1952, while out with friends, a large spacecraft appeared to track Adamski. Sensing they wanted to speak to him alone, he asked his friends to hide in the trees. The saucer landed and Adamski took photograph of it descending and resting among the desert hills. A human-like being stepped out of the craft and communicated with Adamski via telepathy. Mainly, he was describing the Nordic type. He said his name was Orton and he described him as the most beautiful man he'd ever seen, featuring long blonde hair reaching his shoulders. Orton stated that he came from another planet, delivering a crucial warning. Humanity must stop using nuclear weapons because it threatens the balance of the universe. Orton explained that they had tried reaching out to military leaders previously, but were always attacked. Arthur refused to be photographed directly, but he left behind strange symbolic geometric patterns stamped into his footprints in the desert sand. Later, Adamski claimed Orton returned a blank plate he had borrowed, now etched with extraterrestrial symbols. Adamski wrote 2 highly controversial books detailing his experience. He claimed that 2 seemingly normal businessmen who were actually incognito aliens working with Orton took him to a secluded area and brought him aboard a spacecraft. On board, Adamski met an ancient alien entity known as the Master, who claimed to be roughly 1,000 years old. The Master explained that their sole objective is cosmos peace and that they periodically recruit open-minded humans to spread their messages. Adamski began making outrageous public statements, claiming he regularly traveled to give lectures in other planets. Now we understand where the aspiration of Project Hail Mary came from.
Who can tell me the speed of light?
To give lectures in other planets to aliens? Okay, that's unique. His lectures were incredibly persuasive, backed with photographic evidences, and earned him audience with elite figures, including Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. Critics argued Adamski's claims were elaborated hoax to gain fame. When professional astronomers attempt to debate him on interstellar science, Adamski frequently failed to give scientific answers or completely evaded the questions. Well, the critics say that, but supporters point out that Adamski's detailed accounts closely align with the description given by other whistleblowers across different eras, such as Emanuel Swedenborg in the 18th century, a famous highly trusted Swedish scientist and inventor who claimed to experience vivid, conscious visions of outer space. Fascinatingly, Swedenborg described tiny creatures living on the moon and a race of hairless, human-like beings living on Venus. Well, no matter how much you believe conspiracy theories, there's a limit to this. I mean, giving lectures in other planets, aliens abducting you specifically, taking you on board to deliver such crucial message, the plate story, Orton, it just doesn't make sense. Well, I think Adamski did see something in the skies. But because people didn't believe him and he spent a lot of time trying to prove his point, either he's lying or he went crazy. And maybe let's be open-minded and keep 1% chance that what he's saying is true. The second person who talked about these aliens type is the electromagnetic scientist Maya Subhi. She's an Egyptian scientist who appeared in an Egyptian show called The Light Circle. Now what's weird is that this show was about interviewing celebrities, and then out of nowhere this scientist appears and the show timing changes from during the day to 1 a.m. This show was airing in 2013 when everyone was into TV. Maya Subhi talked about highly controversial stuff including secret societies, the way of building pyramids, ancient civilizations, hidden knowledges, and so on. And she mentioned these types of aliens, the reptilians, where she claimed that they are from outer space and that they are demonic beings that can shapeshift to human looks with a specific technology. Maya Subhi also talked about the Nordics and described them just like Orthan, beautiful high beings with high intelligence and consciousness. She claimed they live in the Hollow Earth in a place called Agartha. And by the way, there is an anime movie called Agartha about this hidden place and lost civilization.
ان فيكتور شوبرجر كان من كبار العلماء اللي اشتغلت على تقنيه الاطباق الطائره، وتم تصنيع الاطباق الطائره بالفعل. بس المهم ان هم استضافوهم في قاعده نورمان العسكريه، وده كان احتفال موثق في قاعده نورمان العسكريه، واخدوا منهم تقنيات في سبيل بعض المصالح اللي احنا برضو هنتكلم على ايه اللي كان التبادل بتاعها. دي صور حقيقيه مش معموله فوتوشوب. هم تعاملوا مع الجريس، اخدوا منهم تقنيات كتير زي تقنيات الصواريخ. يعني هنيبو فيريل، كان في فيريل 1 وفيريل 2، كان في كذا موديل من فيريل. دي الاطباق دي مش ما خدوهاش منهم، دي المانيا صنعتها قبل نهايه الحرب العالميه الثانيه. لكن اللي حصل ان المانيا اتهزمت. اول حاجه عملتها حكومات الحلفاء وبقياده امريكا بالذات وروسيا بالذات هو أخذ كل ما يتعلق بالبرنامج السري الفضائي النازي.
After 13 episodes, Maya Subhi completely disappeared, the show stopped, and few years later, the interviewer got assassinated. Now, this is another reason that makes us consider what she was saying. And unlike Adamski, she provided scientific proofs of almost everything she claimed. Let's move to another incident that may back up the claim that aliens are real. If you're into conspiracy theories and aliens, you must know the Rosewell incident. In July 8, 1947, New Mexico, a rancher named W.W. McBrazel checking on his sheep the morning after a violent thunderstorm, and he finds a field littered with wreckage, strange debris, metallic debris, unlike anything he's seen. He reported it to the local sheriff, and the sheriff called the military. The military immediately cordoned off the area, ordered a strict curfew, and denied all aliens' involvement. And then the US Army Air Forces does something extraordinary. They issue an official press release stating that they have, quote, gained possession of a flying disc. The news, of course, exploded worldwide. Then within just 24 hours, a second press release comes out. It was just a weather balloon, nothing to see here, move along. Now here where it gets interesting. The government official explanation changed multiple times. You know when you make up a lie and then you forget about it, and then you lie again with something contradicts it? That's what they did. First it was flying disc, then weather balloon, then decades later in 1994, actually it was top secret Mongol surveillance balloon designed to spy on Soviets' nuclear tests. And the classified nature of that project is the reason they couldn't tell anyone at the time. But here's the problem with that story. The US government's own internal investigation, conducted by GAO, that's the Government Accountability Office, found that records of the Roswell Army Air Forces from that period had been destroyed. And there was, quote, no information available regarding when or under what authority the records were destroyed. Well, you don't destroy records of weather balloon. Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who personally handled the debris in 1947, later stated the materials were extraterrestrial. He said the debris were like anything he'd seen in all his years with the military. Was Marcel lying? Was he misremembering? Or was he finally at the end of his life telling the truth? The Roswell incident is 78 years old and we still don't have a definitive answer. And that alone should make you raise an eyebrow. Before we go more officially with the US government, let's go through some personal stories first. I mean, we went enough through scientists, military, and public figure stories. Have you heard of the cattle mutilation mystery that became widely reported in the United States between 1960 and 1970? Ranchers occasionally found dead cattle with unusual wounds, often missing organs such as tongue, eye, or reproductive organs. and the blood had been drained totally out of the body in some cases, with 3 reported small holes on the neck. And the locals claimed to see weird, emotionless people asking about directions at the time of the incidents. And here's another very interesting story about finding alien traces in the ranch. The Mexico alien fetus discovery in 2007. On February 14, 2007, a Mexican farmer named Mauro Marino noticed a small strange creature moving on his ranch. It has an oversized head, large eyes, and a grey unusual skin. Terrified that it might be dangerous, Mauro decided to drone the creature. Surprisingly, it continued to breathe and survive submerged underwater for over 3 hours before it finally died. Mexican authorities and specialists were called to investigate the specimen. The autopsy revealed that the creature's DNA matched no known species on Earth. While its body structure shared human-like traits, its skeleton was more similar to a lizard's, its skin was too thick for a bullet to penetrate, and its massive brain size relative to its body indicates a highly intelligent organism. Following the creature's death, shortly after, Mauro was found burned to death inside his car. The investigation concluded that the car was parked and off at the time of the fire, and the ignition did not stem from a gas leak. The intense and unidentifiable source of thermal energy completely incinerated everything inside, leaving authorities baffled as to what weapon or phenomenon could cause that level of destruction. Well, at least we got something to add to the don'ts list when you find alien creature. These encounters aren't actually exclusive to modern history. Christopher Columbus documented the bizarre encounter in his logs during his voyage on the Santa Maria, writing about an unidentifiable glowing object in the sky that flew, flashed lights, and repeatedly vanished and reappeared. Let's go back in time, way further than Columbus. Aliens actually appeared in ancient inscriptions. One great example to that is Sifar, as known as the Ghost City. This city is the most ancient natural museum in the world. Its location is in Algeria desert. This place is surrounded with the military and no one is allowed to pass a certain point, because anyone who goes beyond there literally disappears. In the inscription in this desert, humans were documenting their diaries on the wall, hunting and living the primitive way. Then suddenly in those diaries, weird alien-looking creatures appear, and according to the inscriptions, they taught them how to hunt underwater and how to be more civilized. Do you think people's imagination suddenly bursted at one time, which made them go from documenting their daily life normally to adding weird creatures? And interestingly, these weird creatures appeared in other civilizations. One of the most significant stories related to the Hollow Earth, the Greys, and Agartha is Admiral Richard E. Byrd's story. He was one of the most decorated naval officers in the American history, Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, and Distinguished Flying Cross. He was a genuine American hero, a polar explorer who led multiple expeditions to Antarctica. In 1946 and 1947, he commanded Operation High Jump, a massive US Navy expedition with 31 ships, 33 aircraft, and nearly 5,000 men sent to Antarctica. The official mission, scientific research, and establishing US presence there. Now, what happens next depends on who you believe. The conspiracy version goes like this. After the mission ended 6 months earlier than planned, a diary attributed to Admiral Byrd surfaced, describing how his aircrafts were taken over by flying discs, guided into an underground world called Agartha, where he met an advanced civilization. They spoke with Germanic accents and their crafts had swastikas. Then Nazis in Antarctica connected to aliens. I know, but here's what makes this more than just a wild story. First, his diaries were surfaced and published by his daughter, who found them after his death. Why would his daughter do that? Second, Operation High Jump was real, and it did end early. The official reason was bad weather and mechanical failure. Admiral Byrd did reportedly give newspaper interviews in Chile, suggesting he feared future attacks from aircrafts capable of flying pool to pool at incredible speed. Fourth, the expedition was massive and somewhat mysterious for what appeared to be just a scientific mission. Fifth, Admiral Byrd's son, Richard Jr., was reportedly on his way to Washington, D.C. in 1988 to speak to a National Geographic Society event honoring his father, and there he died under what some described as suspicious circumstances. Was he going to say something, or that was just a tragic coincidence? Some sources claim that these diaries were not published by his daughter, but by a man named Raymond Bernard. Real name is Walter Siegmeister. But still, we can't ignore those evidences. And if the story mentioned in Richard's diaries is true, the Germanic accent and the swastikas, then there's more backup evidence to that, because there's a Nazi occult connection. Now for the strangest chapters of World War II that doesn't get taught in schools. Here's what's actually documented. Heinrich Himmler, head of SS, had a well-documented obsession with the occult, Germanic mysticism, and ancient Aryan civilization. Aryan, not alien. He founded an organization called the Yananer, the Ancestral Heritage Research Society, which sent actual expeditions across the world searching for evidence of Aryan super civilization. Tibet, Iceland, Antarctica, you name it. Hitler himself was reportedly obsessed with ancient mythology and gaining knowledge that would give Germany a strategic edge, whether conventional or otherwise. The Nazis also genuinely developed extraordinary weapons technology ahead of their time. Jet engines, ballistic missiles, infrared guidance systems that became the foundation of both the American and the Soviet space program after the war. Some writers have claimed channeled information from alien intelligences from distant star systems, specifically aliens from Aldebaran system, to help Germany develop anti-gravity disk technology. The theory says this is how Nazi Germany leapt so far ahead in aerospace technology. Not human genius, alien contact. The Aryan race ideology also fits the theory uncomfortably well. The obsession with racial purity. The belief in a master race. Some theorists say this is the result of the aliens telling certain Germans they are the chosen ones. There's even the story of Die Glocke, the ball, a purported Nazi secret weapon that some researchers claim was an anti-gravity device or early UFO prototype. Some theorists even claim that Hitler didn't end his life. Instead, he ran with his fleet to Antarctica. These theories didn't come from nowhere, but there were reported fleets going from Germany to Antarctica at the time. Now, before I move to the government official statement about this, let me tell you some stuff we can't help but notice. The Rosewell incident, the flying disc crash, the Grace footage, and Richard expeditions, they all happened almost in the same time, right after World War II. They all happened in close dates. So maybe at the time there were some extraterrestrial encounters. Now the official part. What is the government saying currently in all of this? When we come to the political direction, former US Presidents Barack Obama and Donald Trump have both been asked directly about aliens on public broadcasts.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. They're real. They're real.
It's been in the minds of people for a long time. And that is such, they want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material. And we're going to be releasing a lot of things from that we have.
Retired Israeli general and space scientist Haye Majd claimed in an interview that an intergalactic federation exists and that Donald Trump was on the verge of revealing it, but was asked not to because humanity is not ready yet. On July 26, 2023, the U.S. House Oversight Committee held a hearing on what the military now calls UAPs, the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. The hearing was the first of its kind in over 50 years, and 3 people testified. Witness 1, David Farver, a retired Navy commander. 4 people watched from his F-18 as a white tic-tac-shaped object hovered above the ocean of San Diego in 2004 with 0 visible wings. No exhausts, no rotors. When Favre tried to approach, it rapidly accelerated and disappeared, leaving zero turbulence.
Tic-tac video. It's tic-tac like the candy, not tick-tock like the Chinese communist. Or of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities.
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Witness 2, Ryan Graves, former F-18 pilot. He reported his squadron off the coast of Virginia Beach had been encountering UAPs near daily basis from 2014 to 2015. He described objects shaped like a dark gray cube inside a clear sphere that could hover motionless in hurricane force wind. He submitted a safety report, but nobody followed up. Witness 3, David Grush, a former National Reconnaissance Officer and a member of the Pentagon's official UAP task force. This is the one that made the headlines worldwide. Under oath before Congress, Grush testified that he had been told by over 40 officials with direct knowledge about a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs that the government had been operating in secret. And then he said it, the thing that made the room go quiet. The US has recovered non-human biologics from the crews of the crashed crafts. Members of the Congress from both parties expressed anger, not disbelief, but anger, that they'd been blocked from accessing this information.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes.
Then comes 2024, another hearing, and this time the former Pentagon insider Luis Elizondo, who ran the Defense Department's classified UAP investigation program until 2017, took the stand and said,
"Excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos."
We are not alone in the cosmos. He went further saying,
"Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies."
Elizondo, Favre, and Graves aren't random people. These are career military officers who spent decades in the most classified corner of the U.S. national security apparatus. Why would they risk their reputations to lie? And then just this month, May 2026, President Trump signed an executive order directing every U.S. government agency to begin releasing its UFO files to the public. The Pentagon's website went live on May 8, 2026 and received 340 million hits on its first 12 hours. The files include declassified military footages, Apollo mission transcripts, and military reports of objects making 90-degree turns at speed. There's also a very interesting theory suggests that maybe aliens are human beings were sent to the space through rockets for experiments or whatever reason, and because they faced the great pressure of the space, their head and eyes got that big due to pressure and skin got pale. But it's just a random theory. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Our planet is 4.5 billion years old. Intelligent life on Earth has existed for generously few 100,000 years. The idea that in all that time, across hundreds of billions of galaxies and trillions of planets, we are the only ones who made it? Mathematically, that seems harder to believe than the alternative. If intelligent life should be common in the universe, where is everybody? Maybe they're closer than we think, or maybe they've been here for a while. And the question isn't if anymore. Maybe the question is what happens when we officially find out. Now, after all of that, do you think aliens exist? Let me know what you think in the comments, and see you in the next video.